Screen time is rewiring children's brains, and every parent, educator, and psychologist is asking the exact same question. Are we creating a generation of geniuses or glued to screens? Here is the full picture: the data, the historical precedents, and the neurological realities of growing up digital. Children ages 0 to 8 now spend about 2.5 hours a day on screens. By age 8 to 18, that number explodes to 7.5 hours. Nearly half of all preschoolers own a tablet, and 49% of parents rely on screens every single day just to manage the basics of parenting. This isn't laziness. 1 in 4 parents say they've turned to screens because they couldn't afford childcare. So what is all this screen time actually doing? A growing body of research shows that early excessive screen exposure is linked to structural changes in developing brains. Children with higher infant screen time showed accelerated maturation of brain networks responsible for visual processing, and those changes predicted slower decision-making at age 8 and higher anxiety by 13. The ABCD study, the largest longitudinal brain development research tracking over 11,000 children, has documented how excessive screen exposure disrupts dopamine reward pathways in developing minds. A large Canadian study of 3-year-olds found that kids spending 2 or more hours daily on screens were up to 90% more likely to show behavioral issues and nearly twice as likely to struggle with vocabulary. The U.S. Surgeon General has called youth mental health the defining public health challenge of our time. Teens using social media more than 3 hours a day face double the risk of depression and anxiety. They receive an average of 192 notifications every single day. Jonathan Haidt, author of The Anxious Generation, argues that smartphones delivered 4 foundational harms: social deprivation, sleep deprivation, attention fragmentation, and addiction. The American Academy of Pediatrics has strengthened their screen time guidelines in response to mounting evidence of these neurological impacts. Meanwhile, IQ scores in developed nations have been declining since the mid-1990s, a reversal of the century-long Flynn effect. Researchers at Northwestern found ability scores dropped across 3 of 4 key categories between 2006 and 2018. But here is where things get more complicated and more interesting. Technology panics are not new. In 1565, a Swiss scientist warned that the printing press was confusing and harmful to the mind. In 1926, newspapers claimed radio was ruining children's sleep. Comic books were once called the marijuana of the nursery. Socrates himself warned that writing would destroy memory. Every generation has pointed at the newest technology and declared it the end of childhood. And some research pushes back hard against the doom narrative. Psychologist Candice Odgers challenged Haidt's work directly in Nature, arguing the data doesn't support the sweeping causal claims being made. A study of nearly 2,000 children found that gamers playing 3 or more hours daily actually scored higher on memory and impulse control tasks. Educational technology, when used with adult guidance, has been shown to strengthen fine motor skills, promote collaboration, and improve learning outcomes. Schools, though, aren't waiting for the debate to settle. 35 states now have smartphone policies. A 2024 study of over 37,000 course grades found academic success rates rose more than 6% after phone restrictions, with a 44% drop in behavioral referrals. 90% of teachers support banning phones during instruction. But the largest ever study on these bans found mixed results. Fewer distractions, yes, but limited evidence of quick academic gains. So, are we creating a generation of geniuses or glued to screens? The honest answer is that we are creating both, sometimes in the same child. The research shows real neurological risks from excessive passive screen time. It also shows genuine cognitive benefits from intentional, guided technology use. The difference isn't whether screens exist in a child's life, it's how they're used, how much, and whether a caring adult is part of the equation. A 2024 study found that something as simple as parent-child reading could counteract some of the brain changes associated with infant screen exposure. The screen isn't the enemy. Passivity is, and that's something every generation has had to learn, just with a different technology.